Welcome to episode 85 of the Oklahoma City Real Estate Show. On today's show, it's Nikki Nice from Ward 7 in Oklahoma City City Council. As you may imagine, a lot's been changing in Oklahoma City regarding local business policies, freedom of movement, the health department, and how we've been dealing with these issues. Nikki's going to talk to us a little bit about what it's like on the front lines of this thing, watching city policy going down, and also a little bit of a snapshot on what it might look like once this is all over.
From the middle of America, welcome to the Oklahoma City Real Estate Show, covering local market data, news, and reports to arm you with information you need to empower your investing and strengthen your American rights. Top realtor, investor, husband, father, and veteran. Here is your host, Landon Witt. For more information and to listen or watch online, visit okcrealestateshow.com.
Nikki, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, before this all happened, we had just, finished with our MAPS vote. We were looking forward to a very, very, very bright future with opening the new convention center. The Scissortail Park had just done its grand opening. Oklahoma City was primed and ready to rock for 2020 and 2021. How has the conversation changed since?
Well, the conversation hasn't changed a lot, other than how we have to maneuver and now physically distance ourselves. I think that's really just been the bulk of the conversation of now, how do we do it differently? Not how do we change or just not open up or do different things or not bring in development, but how do we do it differently? And I think with everyone who's experienced this is something we have never experienced before. So obviously this is something new for everyone, and everyone is just trying to adjust to the new normal, if you will, of how we interact and what it looks like when we're in these public spaces and when we're at restaurants, when we're at places that we patron and enjoy, and even when we're at home.
Now, for those that may not understand the layout of the ward system in Oklahoma City, could you briefly describe what Ward 7 is?
Yes, Ward 7 is actually 130 square miles of the city's 620. So basically, it's probably, if not the biggest, one of the largest wards that we have in Oklahoma City. So we stretch from 192nd and Western all the way down south to southeast 44th and Bryant to about southwest 44th and Shields, and then we go all the way east into Luther and Jones area. So there are places that are cut out of that belong to a different ward, but for the most part, that's what you're looking at when you look at Ward 7.
So we're talking Tinker Air Force Base is included in Ward 7, or is that a separate?
That's a separate ward. That actually cuts off a little before you get to Tinker, where we are. So it, like I said, it kind of cuts around in some aspects, but Ward 7 would be about around like the Sooner area, and then cutting back up in some aspects when you go around to like catching 23rd and 36 around that area.
So there's been a lot of increase in that area in investment and in just growth that we're, for a while there was parts of Southeast that folks didn't really want to go to. And then now we're seeing a real resurgence of that area, and just folks are really looking, as we got the Scissortail Park then being kind of that central meeting point. A lot of people can go downtown and enjoy downtown and then live affordably right outside of the downtown corridor. So we see that, and then we also see a lot more people working remote jobs now, so they can just kind of live very affordably. So when this happened, right, so we're going, restaurants have been closed and all this, and now we're opening everything slowly and in a controlled fashion back open. What are some of the things that your constituents have come to you and the residents are saying is maybe questions that they have, or what's the biggest concerns right now?
Well, the main concerns that I have received are people saying that they have observed others not observing social distancing or physical distancing in the places that they patron. And obviously that's going to be an issue for all of us because those who want to stay safe. You know, we all want others to be safe as well, but a lot of us take it in a different way, in a little way of more seriousness than others. But not to say none of us are taking it serious, but, you know, there are some that are a little more concerned and have some of those underlying conditions and others. So obviously they're gonna carry and I've heard also about testing, getting testing sites in different parts of our ward and our communities in those areas that are most vulnerable. But other than that, you know, people are trying their best just to survive and stay safe because these are times that have been unprecedented. This is something, again, we've never experienced before, and it's really hard. It's hard for everyone. It's hard for our mental health. It's hard for our physical health. It's hard for our emotional health. You know, it's just difficult in these times for a lot of us who have to do things in a different way and rely on means that we've never relied on before, and also just trying to make it day by day and step by step.
You know, it doesn't matter what position you're in, everyone's been affected by this. You know, I just had a discussion earlier today with a young couple that's looking to buy in South Oklahoma City, and they're experiencing what we have called the lowest inventory in history is now on the market. Before this, we had 20,000 people a year moving here, so our inventory was already low. And now, folks, you know, coming out of the school year, the school year is ending, or normally around this time of year it's ending, and people are putting their houses on the market because they're going to maybe move that summer to a larger house or maybe a different city. And that's just not happening this year. And so we've got a situation where inventory is super, super low, but yet folks still have to move and are still moving out of their lease situations and this kind of thing. So it's definitely been unprecedented times. I would say for individuals that maybe are facing a situation in which it's harder to pay the mortgage and that, this is a time that actually is very beneficial to sell. So if they did have that option, that's definitely something. And we've already worked with quite a bit of our customers already where they've been able to place themselves from, you know, if there was a large house that they had, to downsize them or to move multiple families together during this hard time. Now, have you guys been getting any feedback from unemployment offices? I mean, I know that's a big concern. They just had the pandemic button, you know, pandemic payment button, as you know, it came out, I think it was last Friday, and then the button crashed. And 20,000 people, they said, pushed the button and crashed the button for Oklahoma. And now the button's back again. Has that been a relief? Is the relief getting to residents?
To my knowledge, it's getting to the folks, but it's not getting there fast enough. And that's the unfortunate piece of what you have to deal with when you have these types of situations that have not occurred before. So there's nothing in place beforehand to say this is how we can maneuver through this type of situation or through this type of disaster or through this type of pandemic. So to my knowledge, there have been people receiving, but again, people have been receiving it very slowly. And a lot of folks who could benefit need it now. And I think that's the issue. People need that assistance. They need that help now. And it's very difficult for them to get to where they need, or even if those folks are renting, it's hard for them to get that money or make sure they have that cushion for their landlord or whoever it is that they have to pay their rent to or their mortgage to ensure that not only they can do that, but also survive at the same time, you know. So those are the difficulties with, again, how this is taking place, how this is affecting everyone. And now, again, how we have to realize what we have to implement and put in place in a lot of aspects as far as policy to ensure that the most vulnerable and those who have the least protection continue to be protected, or how can we make sure they will be protected?
You know, folks that have been stable in Oklahoma City for many, many years, I think everyone listening to this program would agree that if you're a landlord, you're a property management company, you're a realtor, you are a contractor or a servicer, you want stable home ownership and you want stable renters. You want a stable economy, right? That's our goal. So I think when we get into this situation where we have temporary restrictions on working hours, I have seen landlords doing incredible jobs of offering discounted rent, of waiving rent altogether for those tenants that they've got that they know, hey, this tenant is paid on time for many years. They've been with us. They're a great person. They're taking care of that property, and they just have a situation where temporarily they're unable to work, but they're working as hard as they can to try to find an answer to that question. And so I think everybody's playing a good role here of just saying, let's make this possible for this short period of time. Now, how long is this period of time? Do you guys have any idea? When does this go back to normal?
I think that's the question everybody's asking. When is this really going to be back to a full normal? And I don't think there's ever going to be an answer of a full normal ever again because of what we're experiencing now. But as far as, with what the federal government has put in place of steps to get back to reopening our states, and also now with our mayor, with steps to implementing how our city is reopening, and in those steps, those are the things we have to look at, but we still have to look at the data. We still have to look at the hospitalization rates. We still have to look at the positive cases, and all of those things are still going to determine how Oklahoma City, how Oklahoma, and even how the nation, how we have to proceed cautiously to ensure that people are being safe, or they are going to have security and safety to ensure that their health won't be at risk when we decide to completely say you can and you will be able to roam and do the things that you once used to do. But when you consider, again, no vaccine, no cure, it's going to be a while before even a lot of, again, that normal that we have ever experienced will get back to again.
With the convention center, have there been any discussions of a change in maybe the amount of people that will be able to attend a convention in Oklahoma City?
As of this time, right now, I would say we're still following those specific guidelines that we have with the CDC. Mm-hmm. But this finally, we figure out what we need to do. I'm sure, again, even with conventions and all of those things, it's going to look different. I just can imagine everything is going to look different with the convention center, with any convention. From here in, especially any convention for this summer. I belong to a business sorority, and they had been planning to have this meeting or a boule, they call it a boule, in New Orleans in July, and they have been working up until, even with everything happening in New Orleans, they said we are a business sorority. We're going to continue to conduct and operate as if it is going to take place. Well, they just announced this week they're going to do it virtually. They're going to have this whole virtual, and then next year they're going to continue the parts that they couldn't do virtual. So it's going to be a 2-part type of convention. So, those are, in my opinion, what I see as a new normal in some aspects, and virtual right now is what it looks like for conventions going forward, at least this year. And I think with virtual this year, it will truly impact what conventions look like in the future as well.
Well, we've certainly spent quite a bit on a convention center, and I think that people not being in person is something that will never happen. I think that science, technology will figure that aspect out. I just already know that even in the midst of the worst, hey, don't go, we still saw office complexes still full with people in a lot of cases. Yes, I'm sure people complaining about this, but that just goes to show that humanity is a very people and group oriented species, right? That's what we are as humans. So the thought that we would go to a digital world and not meet together, I don't see that happening in the long run. I see that being a gradual, and there's ways to go about it where we can be safer, but definitely. So why I've got you, we've got just a couple minutes left here. There is, for people that are looking now, we've got a lot of people from California, a lot of people from New York, Florida, Michigan now looking to invest in Oklahoma City. Okay, Oklahoma City, what we call in investment terms, is a linear, not a cyclical market. We're not doing these ups and downs. We're a linear, low cap market, so it's cheap to get into our market, and it's a linear, stable growth market. And that is attracting a lot of investors, especially those that have just gotten their butts burned in the stock market, and they're going, no more. I want something I can put my hands on. And the phones are now ringing. The issue we have now is inventory. What are we telling those folks for Oklahoma City? Do we want more investors here, or do we want more homeowners here? I mean, honest truth, what do we want for the future of Oklahoma City?
Well, I know you want both, obviously. And as I speak for the ward that I serve, definitely a desire for more home ownership in the communities that have not experienced home ownership to the magnitude that others have. That's top of the list for myself, to ensure that we have the home ownership. And even with the home ownership, it helps to bring the investment. It helps to bring the retail. It helps to bring the things that we know a lot of our communities need, desire, and have not seen for quite some time. So I would definitely say it's a combination of both, but it depends on which part of the city that you're investing in to see what's needed more. Is it the investment, the retail, or just in general different type of development, or is it home ownership where you're able to bring those homeowners from those renters into that homeowner situation where they can change the momentum and change the generational aspect for their families in order to also bring the same retail that's been neglected in some of those areas as well. So it's a balance, in my opinion, of what you would desire. But, Oklahoma City is definitely the place that can have both. And I don't see why we couldn't have both, and why we can't be intentional about bringing both of those types of opportunities to the areas that need them the most.
What's preventing homeowners from buying in these areas that we talked about that are a disadvantaged area? What is that? When you hear that, they say, I can't buy a home because of...
Well, a lot of them, they can't buy a home because they have not been through the process of understanding down payment assistance. They don't understand the process of home ownership. They've never been a homeowner, or generationally, they've never been part of a family that has owned a home. They've been generational renters, so that's all they know. So it's just breaking the cycle, financial security, making sure they have the financial education and literacy, education about what the home ownership process looks like, education about down payment assistance programs. A lot of folks know what those programs are, but a lot of your disadvantaged communities, that's never, not to say that's never on the forefront of their minds, but that may not be something that they think of at first. They're trying to survive. So that's not something that they would think of wealth as far as home ownership in order to provide for their families and to have something to leave behind to continue to create that type of generational wealth for families. So it's those are the things that we have to get back to the basics for a lot of those communities that have been disadvantaged, of saying, this is available to you, here is how you access it, instead of thinking they already know how.
That is definitely a part of what Oklahoma City is so exciting for. Forbes magazine rated Oklahoma City #1 for small business owners, and that's because it's a great place to start. It's a great place if you're asking, if you're approaching, if you're getting out there and saying, how do I get help with this? I've got an idea to do this. Here's what I want to do. And if you just get out there to ask, the city has infrastructure to help young, old, doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter what background, to get you a start on whatever business dreams you have or home ownership that you have. Nikki, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
For more information and to listen or watch online, visit OKCRealEstateShow.com.